Hello and welcome back, everybody, to this particularly juicy and tasty episode of the Creator Podcast right here on the new Jordan Creates TV channel. So that is the new name that I've renamed it. This channel, just from my name basically to that, something a bit more spicy and delicious, seeing as I am producing and releasing the Creative Podcast on this channel, and I do have another channel and brand, Hot Cuppa TV. I thought a little mesh of those two ideas together, and this still will remain my personal channel. However, it will be a personal channel that I have kind of made into a mini sub brand and kind of interesting name. Anyway, regardless, guys, I digress. Today's episode here on the Creator Podcast will be a short one, and I know I said that the last one would be short. However, this really will be short because my phone is basically overheating in my hand, and I don't want it to blow up like one of those old Samsung phones did, and melted in the user's hand and then burnt his hand off due to the battery melting and then sub exploding inside of the phone. So guys, pray for me and hope that does not happen to me. However, delving into the subject of this week, or maybe, sorry, I meant to say this day, as podcast is, I want to talk about the subject of actual podcasting itself. Okay, so more specifically, the future of voice and sound, how relevant it is, and why I think it's so important. I've been learning about this topic more and more recently, especially as of recent times. More specifically, at the start of 2020, hugely that it is, and it has become more prevalent, I think, in many creators' minds, and even people who are not into creating too much know about it, are still kind of curious a lot about this subject. And in the future, I feel like it has massive potential, absolutely huge, far-reaching consequences which people have not considered, and that is this thing of podcasting. Now, coming from my point of view, this is from a video creator's point of view. So, I have always been I've always been a creator, as I explained in the last episode of the podcast. I'm a creator at heart. I specialize in and have always drifted towards creating videos. However, I do absolutely love and enjoy podcasting, because I began very first ever podcasting on my other video gaming channel, Hot Cuppa TV. Excuse me, guys. And yes, so on that channel, I absolutely love talking into the microphone and expressing my ideas in a way that's so coherent, thought out. You can really get to the end of an idea in a long form format, right? So in a long form audio format, because you can it's like an audio book. You could explain a whole book. That's what audiobooks are. They explain a whole writer's ideas in just a few hours on an audiobook, right? When someone reads it out to you. So you can really delve really deep into topics, and you can extract a lot of juice out of the topics, because it's like having a conversation with someone. When you really sit down and have a 1 or 2 hour long conversation. And guys, by the way, on a side note, I would love to, and definitely will be getting some guests on this podcast in the future at any point in time, and specifically on my other podcast, which I will be creating for my Hot Cuppa channels as well, getting some people on that. But rarely and on occasion when I can, I'll chuck some people into that and have some lengthy, interesting discussions. But regardless, it's the fact that you as the listener can listen to a whole subject thought about in depth, analyzed and taken apart, and to be able to, particularly something in a specific niche, if you're interested in it, right? Like, for example, this niche is the creator podcast. This is the creating niche, specifically focused mainly on video creating. However, you may be interested in this if you are any type of creator, because it might help you to explore your creative ideas also, as I do with my own creative ideas and thoughts in this podcast, and my flows, my workflows, my obstacles, the practical and actionable steps that I explain in these podcasts to you guys that I do to get over it, and overcome each obstacle and produce the content I want to produce and get to the bottom of it. However, so yeah, that's that's just a few of the very small beginning type of tip of the iceberg benefits that actually listening to a podcast has, right? Another massive underestimated idea and points that people have not thought about when it comes to listening to long form audio podcasting is education, right? So education, people pay for and buy programs. People pay huge amounts of money to learn certain subjects. To be honest, guys, a lot of people pay video schools, for example. People pay online coaches. There's many online coaches and YouTubers offering paid programs and products, right, to learn the type of value that I'm actually giving away here for free on this channel. A lot of the tips and things that I go deep into, and especially on my other channels, people have to people actually pay money for and stuff for these programs. And the point I'm trying to say is that you can learn for free. You can learn from podcasting. You can learn a whole skill set, a whole niche or a whole genre of something from listening to it every day and really ingraining these types of thoughts in your mind. I mean, I'm not teaching specific technical things, but I could easily integrate that into these podcasts of how exactly what to do. And in fact, guys, I am thinking about doing some type of future coaching service whereby I can help any of you. If there's anyone out there, any other creators like me, and you're at similar, you're experiencing similar type of processes and potentially barriers like me, or that I have explained that I've overcome in the past. And let's say, for example, you really want to start and you're starting a video channel. However, there is many things that are stopping you in the way and you just can't seem to find yourself to do it. There's always something going wrong, and you need some help, but you just don't know where to find it. But you really want to get your channel growing under all costs. You just don't know what to do. Well, I can help coach you with that. I can tell you the exact steps. I can actually get you to do those things that you perhaps have been putting off for days, weeks, and even months doing, and I can keep you accountable and help you to get through that, because I have got through these problems myself, as a creator, and I've broke through these creative barriers, and often they can be keeping you back from so many potentials, meeting new people, expanding, guys, to a wider audience, and connecting with new options, opportunities, and new people. So and of course expanding the opportunities for your own brand. So anyway, I kind of went off on a little bit of a tangent, but the fact of the matter is that education, you can learn from this. And first, I want to mainly, guys, first and foremost, I will always want to give away all of this value I have learned, and all of my tips, which are professional and of course super helpful for a video creator or anyone to know and pick up on for free. I would always love to give away my value for free. And in the future, I might start a type of coaching, very specific coaching, one-to-one sessions or something like that, which will be for those people who wish to invest in a bit more in actually taking action and getting something done in a specific time frame for them, and then doing that. So regardless, online communication, like this includes messages and all of the messengers these days and the social media platforms. We communicate to each other, and we can communicate via voice messages and video messages these days. I'm currently listening to a video podcast about building branding, and this is another one of these inspiring YouTubers and teachers that I've been listening to, and they are talking about coaching people via online. And through the tools that we have via voice notes and video calls and chats, right? So this could be live video calls, live audio calls, of course. So there has always been calling in business and coaching in the past, but not really in coaching as much, right? Coaching is considered something that you need to be one-to-one in person in real life and meet someone. If you have a fitness trainer, coach, you want to see them in real life to be able to figure out and watch them do the exercise and see if they're doing it wrong, things like that, and then train them, coach them how to do it correctly. However, with a lot of things that are transforming online, coaching is one of these things, and mentoring and tutoring people to learn these types of advanced skills. For example, how to create a video from scratch, A to Z, all via online communication. You could teach someone to do this through the power of the highly advanced communication tools that we have at our disposal. Instant high quality video chat, high quality voice messages, and the ability to send detailed instantaneous pictures to each other, guys, instantaneous videos back and forth, and really have an in-depth dialogue to be able to help each other grow together and or teach each other or coach people. So yeah, this is the potential and the future of like online coaching and stuff. So the way that relates back to podcast is, again, this is a very in-depth form of education, but podcasting is like a broader way of tuning into someone for free anywhere in the world and learning so much from that one person. So you can only imagine the amount of things you could learn in 100 episodes of a podcast, for example. I mean, guys, I know this from my own personal experience off by heart. I think I've explained before at the start of this podcast, and indeed it was one of the many inspirations that has got me to start this podcast, is that I have been myself listening to a few different podcasts and have been learning. The thing is that I have learned so much. So I'm listening to a business podcast right now where I've learned so many business tips. I am listening to a video, again, creator podcast, very similar to this, but it is about how to grow your influence online using video and how to be passionate about the videos you create, what you do, how to be sure about the subject that you are teaching in. So how to find a passion, that you are making videos in, whatever it is, whether you're teaching or not. So for example, how to find a subject, that you are passionate about. This allows you to create far greater, higher value content because what you're talking about is true to your heart, and you're saying it because it comes from your passion, and what you mean. So yes, podcasts are like an unbelievable way to delve into these things in so much more depth that have never really been instantly and available to all on demand, which has never really been that possible since until recent history, guys. Literally the last, I would say, like 10 years or 10 to 20 years, last 10 to 20 years has this been possible because, we had mobile, we had phones, calling people, but that invests real time and energy and you have to be there present, whereas recording, I don't know, you can just learn a lot. There's always been things like radio and things like that, however, in the past, but those things are very limited to the broadcasters, the reporters and the radio celebrities. They're not necessarily available to everyone. And only recently, since the advent of, microphones, technologies, computers, and now more recently, mobile phones, guys. Mobile phones, this is the key. This is the key, number one key tool, which is the absolute game changer, which has never been around in the recent past, right? And that is the ability for anyone to pick up this phone and start a podcast using, a high quality built-in microphone into the phone with everything, all tools needed in order to broadcast it. So I think that's crazy. That's another, some of the other potentials really of podcasting. And yeah, this is again one of those evening podcasts which I'm creating late at night after a day of creating. So I'm a little bit exhausted right now, but I feel like this podcast has been a bit of a rant, but I've let out some of my main little insights there about the beauty and the kind of potential, as you guys could see, of podcasting. And indeed, podcasting now and into the future is only going to grow massively. Now, there are a few reasons for this, and I'm just going to go through one or two of these reasons, I think, before I finish this podcast. And you guys can let me know your ideas about this and how deeply you've considered this. Also, please do let me know how often do you listen to podcasts, and who do you listen? What type of podcast do you listen to? I'd be really interested to know about that. Or really, is it something new to you and you don't really listen to many at all? Perhaps this. I would highly doubt that this is the first podcast you've listened to properly, because most people I know personally in my life all listen to podcasts. In fact, I remember I spoke to my mother the other day on the phone. I don't often speak to my mum, but I chatted to her and I asked her her opinion of, do you listen to podcasts? And she to my surprise, says that she doesn't. So yeah, I guess some people really don't, and I just find it interesting. But so the last few reasons about podcasts. So if you look at the trends, and I'm so interested in technology, guys. Like, technology is actually, as you could probably tell, I'm super in depth into creating videos and specifically creating them online, and therefore the ins and outs of the depths of social media, the different social media platforms, and the future trends as where the internet and social media, and therefore creating things online is going. Super passionate about that. However, if you look at the internet trends lately, I'm so interested in this in technology and how it's advancing, because if, for example, our smartphones, like I said before, guys, we go back to this tool has been created and has gives us literally an audio, a video, a visual, a written form of tool and way of expression, so that anyone can pick this up and just create any one of those types of media on demand as much as they want in high quality, and publish it for the whole world to be accessible to, and for the whole world to see immediately, and so fast, is an unbelievable powerful tool, and definitely the next step up from when computers were first created. Technology, and there was things like the first iPod, where people could listen to music and take MP3 players around with them. Then of course, the iPhone, very first iPhone came out, which was, I think the very first proper smartphone. We had the BlackBerry phones. They weren't really powerful tools back then. And then since then until now, 20 years later, they have progressed into this power machine device that can actually do almost anything. Now, the next trend, and where this is all going, is you think, okay, what next? What could be next in the future? Are we all just going to be on smartphones forever? Well, potentially not, guys. Potentially not. If you look at modern health trends, modern science, modern medicine discoveries, is that there's a lot of push and intention for future, the health of the future human race, really, and especially the Western civilization and world, to move away from trying to become too on our phones all the time, and too much on computers, screen time. And you see online from Google and from the big companies promotions about reducing screen time. Of course, if you are an Android phone user, you will see all these features coming up into the settings menu on the top here, and you probably wondered potentially why they were introduced in the first place, these types of things. But they're all because of these future health reasons that these tech companies are trying to help us to kind of use these gadgets less if possible, even though, of course, it's in their best interest, the companies, if we use them more, because they make more money from advertisements. But for example, in the settings menu, things like the screen time reductions and the blue light screen. So for example, it minimizes the brightness in your eyes, and the night mode and the sleep mode, and the reminders that the phone is being by default integrated into the phone to remind you to use the phone less and to have regular breaks. So what this means, guys, what I'm trying to get to, what the interesting point about this podcast is, in the end, is the very spicy debate and interesting potential as to where the future of this technology goes. So what's next? And I believe if you look at the trends, in the last few years, particularly, and in alignment with the rapid race for the supremacy of AI and, of course, the production of AI, has been the voice assistants. So in the last, I think, 5 years, really. Before the last 5 years, they weren't. They really are brand new since that time period. Google Assistant, okay, you've got Bixby, you've got Siri from Apple, have been coming about, kind of creeping up a bit. Most people necessarily not using them as much as they were necessarily intended or have potential to be used yet. But more and more slowly but steadily, people are using the voice assistants for more. But the thing is because the computer is learning so fast. I mean, how many times have you had Google surprise you by telling you something? Maybe not it speaking it to you. My phone speaks to me out loud and tells me all the time these things, but because I've set it to certain settings, but yours may pop up with little reminders on your phone telling you things that you don't even remember, like, programming into the phone, but yet it knows it, and it's the perfect time for you to remember it. And it's something like the fact that you booked plane tickets, or the fact that you booked something and you need to remember, or that you had a reminder coming up but you didn't even know about it, or it reminded you of an article that you wanted to read, or it comes up with these perfect suggestions all the time. And it's slowly, the reason why is it used to be giving us all of this random crap, and it used to be you would ask it a question, for example, and it wouldn't give you a good answer, online. But nowadays, it's quite reliable. If you ask it, it's become more and more intelligent, that it often surprises you with your exact, answer that you needed to be fulfilled. So the fact is, these voice assistants are only getting more powerful, and in the future, I feel like everything is going to be based more and more around voice. What's more specifically powerful and interesting about this is, what are smartphones like? Smartphones are a convenience device. They make everything faster, more easier, and more quicker for us. In the modern world, we're always looking for ways to speed things up. The only thing that is faster than typing on your phone and finding, whatever it is that you need on your phone right now, which is why you use your phone for every single day, all day, using your phone. Literally the only thing faster than that is voice. So speech. So like being able to say something and it instantly becoming on demand on your phone, right? So yeah, that is an incredible future age of voice and where it's going. I mean, AI and Google, your particular voice assistant, my one's Google. You may have Siri or an Apple phone, or you may have Bixby, or you may have Amazon Alexa, right? Amazon Alexa is a massive one right now. Well, yeah, they are going to know more about you than scarily even you know. They'll remind you of things and help you with things that you wouldn't believe are possible. They will order you things which exactly you need at the exact right time. And in the future, these things will be doing it faster and quicker and with less of your input, with less of your need to say so. And it will do things, and it will be exactly what you have wanted to have happened anyway, right? Because the AI is so intelligent. Do you not see, guys? It learns so fast from our patterns and our behavior, which is exactly what the definition of AI is, to learn, right? It's computer learning. It learns from our pattern behavior. So our own voice assistants are learning from us specifically every day. Why do you think that there's been so many privacy scandals and crazy news articles about privacy in the news, about these voice assistants always being turned on? They hear every single word, the order you say the words in, how often you say them per day. Of course, it's going to learn what you are looking for and what you're thinking about, and what the conversations you're having with your friends. And it's going to suggest adverts that exactly happens to be about the exact model of camera that, for example, you're looking for, which happened to me the other day. So I find this really crazy. It's like a rabbit hole that keeps going further, it's where the technology trends are taking us in the future. But I do believe there's a huge trend towards voice. And as such, I believe that voice content in all forms will become hugely prevalent. In fact, if you look at it now, voice consumption is at an absolute all-time high. I've been watching a few research videos on this lately, and the fact of the matter is podcasts are, for example, the most consumed now than they have ever been. And it is still a very untapped niche. There aren't as many podcasts around yet. So there's going to be tons of podcasts popping up about every type of niche you could imagine. There's a lot of unfulfilled niches when it comes to podcasts. So many creators, a lot of space and room to be filled. So I encourage you, as a little takeaway, last bit of takeaway about this podcast insight episode. In the future, do you think you will be listening to more podcasts? Okay, please answer that in the comments below. How many do you listen to right now? Like I said earlier, I'd love it if you guys could answer those questions. If you're still listening now, by the way, thank you so much for listening all the way to the end of this podcast. And I want to give you guys the takeaway, right? So the takeaway is a little bit of this thought. This was supposed to be a very short little rant about podcasts. This has ended up being, I feel like, a longer one. However, I'm really enjoying this subject, so I feel like this is important. But I would encourage you guys, as the takeaway, to begin your own podcast about whatever subject you are personally passionate about, because there's a high chance, and I'm willing to guess and bet, that there may not be a podcast even, or even if there is, not that much of choice, and maybe not very good ones, or different, it's taught about in such a different way, right? About your particular subject and passion and niche. And you could be one of the first podcasts, or you could fill a niche of a podcast of someone talking about that subject, which many people, want and would love to be able to have that in their life, a podcast about your particular specific passion and niche. So let me know what your passion and niche is, and think about in your mind. Just go away thinking about what you could talk about. We all have passions. I personally could talk about the things I'm passionate about loads and forever. And what better way to record all of that down and to share that with people from a podcast? So yes, if you are listening to this, you are highly likely to be a creator looking to create more content and new things. Please let me know if you go away with some inspiration about this to create your own podcast. I, for one, clearly with this podcast, I'm already doing that with myself. But guys, I have 2 other podcasts planned for my other 2 channels as well, even, because I just can't get enough of podcasting at the moment. So anyway, guys, thank you very much for tuning into this, the Creator Podcast, once again here on the channel, Jordan Creates TV. I hope you guys have all enjoyed this. I do not know how long this podcast is. I'm just about to look at the time here, but I really hope that it was less than 20 minutes at least. But I hope you guys have all enjoyed. Oh my goodness, it's half an hour, guys. This is the longest one so far. Well, I hope you have enjoyed it as much as I have, and we will see you guys soon. All in the next podcast. And I think I want to explore this on a side note, guys, the beauty of this and the many ideas I have about the future of podcasting, where it's going to go actually in future episodes. So look out for another episode about podcasting soon. I am going to create more podcast related videos on my other channel, Hot Cup of Jordan. So stick around for those as well, or hop over onto that channel and check that channel out over there if you want to see those videos. And take care, guys, and we shall see you guys soon all in the next Creator Podcast. And thank you very much. Thank you very much, guys, for listening. And by the way, one last little thing. Leave the word chai, CHAI, in the comments if you have listened to the very end of this podcast. That is just a little experiment that I'm doing with myself and you, the viewers. It's just a little experiment. So write the word chai if you have listened to this podcast all the way to the end. Take care, guys, and we shall see you soon in the next Creator Podcast.